Welcome to the Data Fusion Solutions Power Outage Tracker Professional Edition demonstration. I'd like to start out by pointing out the three main areas of the screen. In the upper left, we have the map area, which shows the visual depiction of the current outages. To the right of that is the table, which shows a current listing by state of the outages. And in the bottom left is an area that will be used to show history trends for the last 30 days for whatever is on the current display. That only happens at the state or multi-state level. So let's dig into the details of some of these. On the map, if you hover over any state, it will show the current customers out for that state. If you actually click on a state, it will go down to the detailed level, but I'm going to hold off on that for now so I can finish explaining how things work at the national level. The outage listing defaults to showing the outages in descending order. So in this case, Virginia has the highest number of outages. You can sort any of these columns. So if I choose, I might want to sort based on the state name. But I actually prefer to see things in terms of the outages because that's going to highlight the areas I might want to look at. You can also search for different things. So if I type in MISS, I'll see both Mississippi and Missouri. That's a feature that's much more useful when you have a large number of states at the detail level where you're looking at hundreds of counties. And you just want to find one, but it's applicable for all of the tables that have that. I also want to point out along the top bar we have a couple things. So the total number of outages for everything in the display, in this case total national outages, are 106,000. And then there's something next to that called unassigned. And basically what that is in some cases utilities report a category of outages that like other or unknown, where it's not specified where the outage actually is. And so in this case, we term that unassigned outages, and it's usually a pretty small number. In this case, it's 93. So that's basically what that means. To the right of that is the date and time that the last data pull took place. In this case, it took place at 10:32. In the professional edition, the data pulls take place every 15 minutes. The display itself will automatically check for updates every 5 minutes, and if the data has been updated, if another pull has been completed, it will automatically update everything in the current display. So let's dig in a little bit more to what's going on here on the left-hand side. These tabs give you a little bit more detail in various areas. I'll show you the display in a second, but let's jump down to the utility details. Basically what this will give you is a table showing all of the utilities in the system, all 457 utilities. It will tell you what date they report on their website, as well as the success or failure, and I'll get into that in a minute, and then the number of outages reported by the utility. All the features of this table are the same as with the other ones. You can sort on anything that you'd like. You can sort on the status so that you can see failed, some that had partial success and things like that. And you can always search for something. So if I type in AEP, for example, I can see all the AEP companies very quickly. So you can X out of that so that you can see everything again. And we'll close that out. And let's look at the status of the feeds. So this is important because you want to know how well the system performed. So you should periodically check this, especially if you see something amiss in the numbers. In this, as I pointed out, we have just updated there, so we got the latest data. 457 utilities total. Of those, 11 failed, and they fail for various reasons. Mostly what we see is that it's electric co-ops and municipals that fail. Their IT systems might not be the same caliber as the investor-owned. And quite honestly, some of them don't even know that their outage maps are down, and we've actually notified some that is the case. While we see that the number of unassigned has gone down as the number of outages went down with that last data pull, Virginia is still a high point. Now down here at the bottom, we actually break this out by type of utility. So We have investor-owned utilities, electric cooperatives, municipal utilities, and another category for other. Those might be state-operated systems or political subdivisions, which occur in some areas of the country. So that's the feed status. As you go through the different, as we drill down to different levels, this updates with what's currently on the display. So I'll show that in a minute when we go to state and multi-state. This alerts tab is something that I'll show in a minute, but I actually have a separate video on that. Alerts are a very powerful feature, and I have a video that specifically addresses that and how to set them up for different scenarios. So if you visit our website at www.datafusionsolutions.com and look for that video, it's really worth looking at. So let's go ahead and drill down. I'm going to click on West Virginia. And when we do that, we go to the detailed display for the state. And the details are shown at the county level. County is kind of a lowest common denominator for the majority of the websites. There are a lot of websites that use zip code, towns, even pins on a map, but the only way to pull this together and aggregate it is at the county level at this point. So that's how we display it. You'll notice that when we went down to this level, now we have the trend chart. And the trend chart defaults to the daily history, so it's the last 30 days. If you hover over any point on this, it will actually tell you the outage. That's the maximum daily outage for that day. And you can see, a lot of things going on there in West Virginia, but nothing really significant. If we go to the display here, and I'm going to skip this map options for a second here. I'm going to show you some other things first. We have the ability to overlay some weather and warning features. So I'm going to turn on the radar. I'm going to turn on some flood warnings, and we'll close this out. And you can see on the map there's not a whole lot of weather data right now, but you can see that it is there. There are some flash flood warnings and things like that. So this data comes directly from the National Weather Service and is also updated every 5 minutes. So let me go back to that tab. I'm going to turn those off for now just to make things a little bit easier and show you some things that you can do with the chart. So in the professional version, one of the things that you can do is, I mentioned that it defaults to 30 days of daily maximum data. You can actually look at hourly data. You can actually increase the size of the graph if you want to see it in greater detail. So we'll do that, and we'll close these. And you can see, obviously it's a very different look when you're looking at hourly data than when you're looking at daily maximum. So, but the same functions apply. You can hover over anything and see what's going on there. So I'm going to go back to the display, and let's set the chart to the normal size and go back to daily data. Close that down. And then I'm going to go back to the national view. And the way that you get back to the national view is by clicking on this globe here. A lot of these controls, if you hover over them, will give you an indication of what they do. So let's go back to that, and it will redraw and fix itself there. And let's go and show how you select more than one state if you want to do that. So you go to the map options, and there's two ways to do this. One is you can select states individually. So if I wanted to choose the District of Columbia and Delaware, I could do so. I'm going to clear that out. You can also shift click or control click. So you can you choose the District of Columbia. Control key is held down, Maryland. And if I add those to the list, it will display that on the map. Now, one of the things that we've done in the, I'm going to go back to national here real quick, and then I'm going to bring up the display and show the other way of selecting multiple states is to choose predefined regions. So we've defined a lot of regions. We have the FEMA regions, all 10 FEMA regions. We have the Regional Mutual Assistance Group regions, and we have National Weather Service regions predefined. If you're aware of other regions that you'd like to see in this list, just email us and we'll go ahead and add them. This is a pretty straightforward thing to do, and we went with what a lot of people currently use. So what I'm going to do here is choose FEMA Region 2, which happens to be New Jersey and New York. It automatically populates this table, and I'm going to accept that. And it's going to jump to the display of New Jersey and New York. Now, as I pointed out earlier, everything adjusts to whatever's in the display. So this total outages at the top is now for New York and New Jersey only. They have none unassigned. And the table, you can see, only shows New York and New Jersey outages. Everything else you can still do, sorting and searching and things like that. On the history graph, this is now the maximum daily outage for the two combined. So whatever is in the display, it's the combination of those that's shown in the trend chart. And you can go to the hourly chart, and it's the same thing. Now, if you go over to utility details, it will show the utilities that serve both New Jersey and New York. And when there's something like this showing, there's some really interesting things you can do as far as sorting. So if I want to sort by state, I can sort by the state, and then I can shift and click the state outages, and I'd rather see them in descending. So this basically will show me New Jersey first with descending outages, and then New York. So you can sort on multiple columns by choosing the first column and then shift and choose the second column. And it's a really good way to show different things. And you can see in the case of New York and New Jersey, we have one failed. It's an electric cooperative. So we can go back in here and see 1 out of 12. A little bit higher percentage, but the numbers are lower. So you would expect to see that. So here's the breakout. We've got one other. I think that's Long Island Power Authority. So that's the kind of stuff we can see when we're down at the level of multiple states. So now let me show you what this alerts panel is all about. And if you noticed, let me go back for a second. The alerts tab itself is red. That indicates that there is an alert currently in effect. So if we open that panel up, there are actually 3 alerts that are in effect. One that I've set up for a combination of DC, Maryland, Virginia, one for Virginia, and one for West Virginia. So it very clearly shows you what alerts are active so that you can make decisions about what you want to see on the dashboard. Now let me show you a little bit about how you deal with existing alerts, and then I'll show how to create an alert. But there's a couple things that you can do. You can delete the alert. Now, deleting an alert is a permanent function, so you might not want to delete an alert. You might just want to disable the alert. That just turns it off. You can edit the alert. You can go directly to the map, which is really cool. We'll click on that for DC, Maryland, and Virginia, and it jumps right to that area. So you don't have to go through and choose things. You can let your alerts help you get to where you need to be in the map. So that's a pretty cool function. With that shown, and you have to have something selected within the display to be able to adjust or create alerts. So when you have something in the display, you can't do it at the national level. You can create alerts. And again, there's a separate video on this that goes into a whole lot of detail about the ways that you can create alerts and cascading alerts and things like that. So it's really cool. I encourage you to take a look at that. So that's the basic functionality of the professional edition of the Power Outage Tracker. Come to our website at www.datafusionsolutions.com. There's more information about these things and has all of the different products and things like that, so you can see comparison of the features and things like that. But thank you very much for watching this video.